I'm so honored and excited to be here, and I am excited for you guys to hear our stories. And as we all know, CF is changing before our very eyes, and it's changing fast. And although it's changing with these modulators, and despite our separate CF journeys, it's so important for us to remain united and connected and support one another. So, I'm going to start by introducing myself. My name is Summer Love, and I am 39 years old. But you guys, I'm going to be 40 in May. I live in Utah, although my heart and soul, I believe, are from San Diego. Something about that ocean is so healing. I have the most amazing support system, and I'm so grateful that they could be here in person, and the ones that couldn't be here in person are watching on the live stream. And I feel like I've jammed-packed so much life into these almost 40 years. I've had a lot of chapters in my life, but the chapter that I'm in now is the most rewarding, and I am a pug mom. My babies are 14 years old, and sadly, that chapter is coming to an end sooner than later, sadly, but I'm channeling my inner Madonna, and I am figuring out how I am going to reinvent myself once again. I was diagnosed with CF when I was 11 months old, just kind of on a whim. There was no symptoms. I was a fat, chunky baby. However, in the 80s, there was a Kiss Your Baby campaign. If we tasted salty, you should get your kid in for this sweat test. Apparently, I tasted pretty salty. My lung function currently hovers below 30%. In Utah, I'm on full-time oxygen. And here, I like to say hashtag leash free at the sea. However, it is now leash free at VLC. Pretty much after I was diagnosed, my parents started the local chapter there in Utah. And we fundraised, we spread awareness, we did great strides. And then 20 years ago, they started the gala, Taste of Utah. And I cannot believe it. I don't know why, but I've never thought to add it up, but it's raised over $3.5 million for the foundation. And in 2001, I started Love to Breathe just to continue the mission to spread love, awareness, and educate others on CF. And my favorite way to spread love and CF awareness is through my Love to Breathe tokens. And it kind of took Love to Breathe global, which is an amazing thing to think about. But on that note, I want you guys to hear from my friend Jenny. I've known Jenny for almost 10 years now, and we both live in Utah, and I will let Jenny introduce herself.
Hi, thanks, Summer. I'm really excited to be here today. I am Jenny. I am turning 32 this summer. And before I really tell you about myself, I want to back up and tell you a little bit about my family. I also have two older sisters with cystic fibrosis. In a family of 5 kids, 3 of us had CF. I imagine that was just a crazy, chaotic household all the time, but it's really all that we knew. CF was just so normal to us. We like to joke in our family that we did not win the genetic lottery. Because of my older sister's diagnosis, I was tested at birth, and so I was able to get treatment right away. My older sister, Shannon, was born in the late 70s, and at that time, there was so little known about CF, and she was not able to, really start treatments for the first few years of her life. And it's really interesting how even within the same family, the manifestations of CF are very differently. And Shannon was very, very sick from the beginning. And she actually passed away at the age of 14 while she was waiting for a double lung transplant. The good news is that my older sister, Teresa, turns 39 next month. And as I mentioned, I'll be 32 this year. So we're doing really well. I am a mom, and that's probably one of the biggest things that you should know about me. That makes me who I am. That's why I do everything that I do. Morgan is 9 years old, and she is just the absolute love and light of my entire life. I also have a really great fiance, Randy, and we live in Manti, which I will probably call Mai-Tai, Utah from now on. It's a little rural town. We have started kind of a little farm almost. We have a couple dogs, some bunnies, a horse, a hedgehog. Who knew? I didn't plan on all of those things, but that has happened. I am currently studying psychology, and I graduate next month with my bachelor's degree. That has been an incredible journey. Thank you. I have loved that so much. It's been interesting to balance schoolwork and CF and being a mom, and to integrate all of those things into my life has been challenging, but also very, very rewarding. After I graduate, I hope to really throw myself into the world of CF advocacy a little bit more. I've worked with the foundation through great strides, for the past 7 or 8 years. We've walked under the name Lungs and Roses. This year, we're a national team. We will have teams walking in Salt Lake, San Diego, and Oxford, Ohio. So that's a really fun step that we've taken that I'm really excited about. Anyway, that's a little bit about me. I'm so excited to be here.
We're excited. We're excited to have you, Jenny. And now I would like to introduce you to Shelby. My friend Shelby and I have been friends for 3 years now. We met at the first BreatheCon. We were in a breakout session together. So I will let Shelby take it from here.
Thank you, Summer. I am so excited to be here as well to kind of give my viewpoint on things. My name is Shelby Luebbert, and I'm 27. I was born and raised here in St. Louis. And when I was diagnosed with CF at a year old, it came as somewhat of a surprise since both of my parents at the time passed the carrier tests. This was back in '91. And when they were checking on things and going through the motions, they told them that you're in a gray area, but she definitely has CF. They didn't know my mutations at the time. Like Summer, I was also a very chunky baby. So as that went by, I luckily had a very healthy childhood. My parents didn't attend a lot of the chapter meetings or things like that, just because the fact I was so healthy. They didn't really feel like they could give a lot of viewpoints and kind of felt bad in some ways. And they also wanted me to live a normal life. And I joke now that I had the total 90s life growing up. Got to play outside and play sports and all that fun stuff. Another big passion in my family is my dad restores old cars for a living. So that's kind of been a huge thing for all of us. And between sports and cars, I was either hanging out in the garage or at the drag race track or on the field. So I feel like I had a pretty balanced childhood. I know we're going to touch on it later too, but becoming involved in the CF chapter and the CF community probably saved my life in a lot of ways. And because CF can be so isolating, I didn't know anybody growing up really with CF until I was a teenager. And then also when social media came about and we were allowed to join those groups, that kind of opened my world up. I got involved in our CF walk as GT's Mafia, and that's been going strong since 2010 or 11. And I was our local ambassador here in St. Louis last year to to help 30 years of walking for CF. And in this day and age, it's ever evolving. And I feel like every day is a new step towards our end goal. And I'm so excited to talk with Jenny and Summer about everything.
Thank you, Shelby, so much. So as I said earlier, CF is changing before our very eyes. And I'm pretty sure it's safe to say that the triple combo is on the forefront on all of our minds, especially mine. I cannot wait for the triple combo to come out. I was on Orkambi, and I did not, it was just really hard. I couldn't tolerate it. It was difficult. I was on the half dose for a while until I switched to Symdeco, and I was so excited. I was like, you guys, I'm going to be able to ditch the leash, and I'm not going to have to wear oxygen. And Symdeco came around, and I started it, and again, such a tough time. And I could barely walk from here to the podium without gasping for air for the first 3 months. But I was hopeful, and I kept pushing through, and I just really, really wanted this to work. So, again, with the triple combo, I find myself putting all my eggs in the baskets. How can you not? And we'll see when it gets here, and I'm going to remain hopeful. And Jenny actually has seen great benefits from a modulator, so I'm going to let her tell you a little bit about that.
Yes. In 2013, I had the opportunity to be part of the clinical trial for Orkambi. And so starting it, I had no idea what to expect. I was at a time in my life where my health was not good. I was having back-to-back hospitalizations. I'd be in for a couple weeks, go home for a couple months, and be just right back in, having lost 30% of my lung function. I was so unstable. We didn't even have a baseline for me. My PFTs were just all over the place. And I was really struggling to live a normal life. During the study, I started to have some negative side effects, primarily a shortness of breath, this feeling of something sitting on my chest all the time. And I had a hard time with physical exertion of any kind, and that shortness of breath was really difficult to deal with. And so we kind of debated, do we continue this? Do we try to push through these side effects? Is it worth staying on the study? And I definitely wanted to push through. And I'm so glad that I did. A while into it, I had not experienced things like this jump in PFTs or this incredible weight gain or anything. But a while into the study, and perhaps even after the study, when I was on open label, it's kind of blurred. It's hard to really put a timeline to all of this. But at some point, I started to notice that I would get a cold and get over it. Not necessarily right away. It would still take some time, but my body, for the first time in my adult life, was fighting off these viruses without requiring a hospital stay. And I went from 3 to 5 hospital stays a year to 1 a year. And that's the pattern that I have maintained for the last 5 or 6 years. And that's totally manageable. That's life-changing. That stability that I've gotten from Orkambi has been so incredible. It gave me the courage to leave a toxic marriage, to start life as a single mom, to go back to school, and really just it gave me my life back. It gave me some sense of control, and I just cannot explain what stability does for us, particularly as adults trying to balance normal life with this disease. And so I think I'm kind of a bit of a success story, and I'm so excited for everyone to have something like Orkambi has been for me. I want everyone to find their Orkambi.
Right. And that's... And stability is key, and it's so important, especially so as I'm on Symdeco and having low lung function like I do, stability really is key, and that's so important. But when this triple combo comes out, it's only 90% of the community is going to have modulators available to them. And you guys, it's not lost on me that I was able to take Orkambi, I was able to take Symdeco, and now I'll be waiting for this triple combo to come out. But you know what? There's 10% that are not going to be able to say that. And I feel so guilty talking about that in front of Shelby because Shelby's genes are so rare, and I'm going to let her touch on that.
So we did not figure my genes out until I was 18 or 19 years old. I had Dr. Farrow at the time, which I know many of you are probably familiar with. He was an amazing children's pediatric CF doctor. And I remember the appointment like it was yesterday. He said, hey, we have your genes now, but hey, they're super rare. So one is a class 1 gene, and the other is in the same class as the common genes, but they haven't really tested things on it, and it doesn't handle the modulators too well yet. So I am kind of in that stage where Jenny was before Orkambi, and I have so much hope that we are going to get to that point where my health stabilizes, because right now I am in that 2 to 3 weeks in and then out maybe a month, and I'm back in again because it's awful and it's just wrecking havoc on my lungs right now. So I love seeing these success stories and seeing the changes that everybody's going through, because that's going to be me one day. And I know that they're going to get to it because one is in the same class as the other. And if I can benefit from that and at least stabilize me a little bit, I can work with that.
Shelby, so you are so positive and you keep such a hopeful mindset, but it's got to be tough. Can you talk a little bit about that?
That's a very loaded question. Wearing on the soul in many ways. I had to quit working full time about 3 years ago, and it's been a primary focus for me to really stay on top of my health. I have a lot of complex issues, and I think that not only having CF, you have all of these other factors in your health that play into things, and the day in and day out struggle of hospital life and home life is very hard. Life does not go on complete pause when you're in the hospital. It still goes on, and you just gotta watch it go by. So I think that that's something that people will look at and they'll say, oh, you're an adult now. It's gotta be easier. You know what to expect. And it's not.
Right.
It definitely is not.
Right. And sometimes not knowing what's going to happen next is okay. And you just have to keep pushing through. And with CF, physical health and mental health are both equally as important, and it's a constant battle for both of them. And Jenny, tell us a little bit about the anxiety that you feel about having to maybe move to the triple combo when it becomes available.
I do have a little bit of worry about that and anxiety in a lot of areas, but specific to that area, I don't know what it will be like. And I've been so stable on Orkambi, and I have tolerated it so well that even the potential to do better on a triple combination scares me, because you don't know what it's going to be like to change modulators and what side effects you might have, and that in itself is kind of scary. And so I've kind of joked, like, I did not want to rock the boat at all for Symdeco. We just thought, I'm doing so great right now, we're not going to chance it. I will kind of jump ship from Orkambi to the triple combo, but it does scare me, and I'm kind of like pre-worried about that, even though I'm not really there yet,
Right. And then your anxiety is through the roof.
Oh, all the time.
All the time. It's just hand in hand with CF. So, and anxiety actually with medical procedures for me have been, you think, oh, she's almost 40, all these medical procedures she's going through, it's a no big deal now. But really, I feel like the older we get, the harder it is to deal with these, and clinic appointments and PFTs and hospital stays. And Jenny, you actually have anxiety with PICC lines. Talk about that.
I do. I have gotten so many through the years, and as you mentioned, Summer, it seems like it should get easier, and it does not at all. And I have developed this fun thing where I just have like a full-blown anxiety attack every time I have to get a PICC line. So that's something that we kind of have to deal with and work through. The last PICC line that I had, I'm generally pretty sedated because they know my history with anxiety. This last time, I feel like the nurse was not very attentive, and I did not get the sedation that I needed. And I really started to panic. And I realized, I was rational enough to realize that I wasn't panicking about what was happening because the PICC line was actually going fine. The procedure itself was going fine. But I laid on that table and I felt like I experienced like these waves of anxiety and trauma because of everything else that I have lived through up to that time. And so I do think in addition to anxiety, we have like a medical PTSD. And we go through these things so often that it just kind of builds up, and we carry that with us to the next procedure and the next one. And it's just very real and sometimes really debilitating.
Right. And I couldn't agree more with that with PTSD. Hemoptysis is a big one for me, and I think about a month ago I had a very traumatic hemoptysis episode. And for those of you that don't know what hemoptysis is, it's when you cough up blood, and it wasn't stopping, it just kept going, and it was so scary. And then every time you cough after that, it's like, oh my gosh, am I going to cough up blood? And it stops you in your tracks. And boarding a plane to San Diego, I woke up that morning and I started streaking, and I'm like, oh my gosh, don't cough on the plane, don't cough on the plane. If you're in midair and you're coughing up blood, it would not be a good situation. So it can cause some serious anxiety. And as Shelby knows, with hospital stays, you were just in the hospital for 3 weeks. And talk about when you got home about that.
It's a very real, I don't want to say fear, but you just want things to go so right. And so when they don't, everything is wrong. I mean, you spend 3 weeks in a hospital, you're not allowed to leave the hospital, things like that. And then they throw you back out into traffic and real world and having to, put everything away when you get home and go back into your daily motions. And it's extremely hard. When I got home, things were not perfectly like how I wanted them to be, which life's never perfect, but for whatever reason, my life and my head just did not want to be there. And I cried that night. I was such a mess. My brother, who's like this calm storm and ease of mind, he would just look at me and he's just like, will you chill? It's okay. And it's so hard to rationalize when you think and how things should be and how they really are, and change your mindset in a lot of ways.
Correct, right. And it's just like, hospital stays almost like when you get home, it's almost as exhausting as like going in. But you know what? Support system is such a big help, and they help out and they relieve our stress and our anxiety. Jenny, tell us about your support system and how they help you with your anxiety.
Some of the anxiety comes from just like the everyday grind. There's so many things to do all the time, every day. And my biggest support system is Randy and my family and Morgan. And they are there for me to talk with. Also, I have to mention my sister. Specifically, having lived through all of the CF stuff, she just gets it on a level that a lot of other people don't. And so I have this great support system here in my home with me and extended family to provide just that emotional and sometimes tangible physical support when it's needed. And they're very helpful. Something that Randy does for me that Summer loves is that he will sterilize my nub cups. And it's just this tiny thing. that he does for me that seems so small, but when I walk into my kitchen and all of my neb cups are laid out, sterilized, drying, and it's just something that I don't have to do, it's this burden that's taken off of my shoulders. And that's really helpful. It seems so small, but it's actually really amazing.
So I need to have you teach me your ways because I have some serious control issues. And I will be checking those neb cups over. And so to relinquish your control is huge and let someone help you. I mean, asking for help is so hard. It's like the CF way. We got this. We're independent. One thing that you can answer, Jenny, that actually Shelby and I cannot is, how about motherhood, though? Like, how does motherhood, like protecting Morgan and being strong for her, that has to weigh on you a little bit?
It does. It absolutely does. Throwing a child into the mix of CF is kind of the best thing in the world, and it's also one of the most terrifying things. She is my fire. She is everything that I fight for, and my reason for just being here today. And so to have this other person who's so dependent on me that I have to take care of, that I want to take care of, really gives me a reason to fight really hard. But then it also is terrifying, because if something happens to me, what will she do? And Morgan was 6 years old when she first asked me, point blank, Mom, will you die from CF? And so to have that conversation with a 6-year-old child, there's nothing in the world that can prepare you for that moment. And so CF has added this element to parenthood that is really difficult. We've talked about it very openly. Since then, we've had a lot of conversations about death and about CF, and Morgan has experienced the loss of some of my dear friends that she was also close to. And so this is not something that we shy away from in our house. It is something that we can talk about, and because of that, open communication, Morgan knows that she can come to me and talk to me about anything, and sometimes it's just, Mom, God, I'm worried about you, and I'm scared. And I can assure her that I'm fighting my hardest, but sometimes I'm just scared too. And I would rather that we're scared and fighting together than either of us experience that alone. So there's a lot. There's a lot to parenthood and CF.
I bet. And just talking about death in general, I mean, I feel like it's something we think about often, which I don't think, I mean, not in like a weird way, but like, it's just something that's always in the forefront of our minds. And, you know, losing friends to CF is really hard. And it doesn't ever get easier, but it fuels our fire. And we have this amazing support system within the community. And Shelby, tell us about the first time you actually met somebody in real life with CF, because you're post cross infection. So Jenny and I are a little bit pre cross infection. So we grew up being around people with CF. So tell us about the first time you actually met somebody in real life with CF.
Yeah, I was like right at that little line where they said, oh, maybe they shouldn't hang out together, and like the daycares at the meetings and things. I think I went to one and that was it. I actually met my first CF person when I was about 14 or 15. He joined my dad's car club meeting, and I'm going to try and get through this without tears. At one of the meetings, he told me there's going to be another person with CF there, and I just want you to be aware. And we got there, and he was on the other side of the room, completely diagonal from me, but he was tiny. I want to say he's 4 or 5 years older than me, so he was 19 or so, but he looked like he was about 10 or 11, and his name was Little Dave. That's what everybody called him. He had this tricked out Impala, and he was so proud of it, and he put so much money into it. And it was not only my wake-up call to how bad CF could be, because I just lived my life like, oh, I'm fine. I don't have to do what so many other people, have to do. And my doctors just tell me like, hey, this is probably going to get bad at some point, but I'm fine. To actually seeing it there in the flesh. He'd already gone through 1 or 2 transplants. He had CF diabetes. He was skin and bone, and he was just tiny. And we formed a really strong friendship and relationship throughout the years. I remember he would text my dad from the hospital at like 2:00 in the morning or so when he couldn't sleep, and they would talk cars and whatever it was to ease his mind. And he passed away when I was about 20, I think. And that was just at the very beginning of me diving into social media and meeting other people with CF. And that really kind of punched me in the gut. Like, this is real. This is something that I need to fight for. This is how Summer and Jenny have mentioned, like, this really fuels my fire. And I want to advocate and I want to be a part of everything. And that's just when I just dove in.
And you, like a gut punch, you just described it so well. And it's truly a gut punch when we lose our friends to CF. And it's overwhelming. Dealing with CF day in and day out, it's a lot. And it's okay to take a step back. And it's okay to want to take a step back for your support system. When we're fundraising, we're kind of asking the same people over and over and over again to donate some money for us and get that cure. And so you know what? It's okay to take a step back and feel all the feelings, but then you need to drive forward and keep pushing and remember why you had to take a step back. And it's because we need to keep going. So, and on that note, Jenny, I want to know how you deal with burnout and what overwhelms you with, the fundraising, and how do you protect your support system with that?
Sorry, struggling. I think it's really interesting, Summer, how you just said, like, how do you protect your support system? And I think that's something that we all inherently do or try to do, is kind of protect the people around us. And how often do we find ourselves telling the people around us, it's okay, I'm okay, it's going to be okay. And I think we try to ease their minds and help them through our exacerbations and things. Anyway, that's not what you asked, but I think it's really interesting that you said that.
But no, that's good though. Keep touching on that, because I know that I protect everyone around me, and I don't have my parents go to clinic appointment because I can, feed them what I want them to know. They don't need to know everything.
Or after something terrible has happened, then you tell your friends and family, oh yeah, this thing happened, but I'm fine. Right. It's okay.
Either way.
Anyway, I do experience burnout, and it's hard to continue asking people, as you mentioned, the same people all the time to help. And I feel like they probably get really sick of it, but I recently had the thought, like, I'm sick of having CF, so I'm going to keep doing this. Sometimes, though, you do just have to take a step back, and I think that's okay. And I don't push as hard for great strides every single year. When I'm feeling a lot of burnout and stress and anxiety over losing people in the community, sometimes I'll just take a step back from social media for a while and be with my family, try to center myself again, and try to really embrace everything that I'm feeling. And sometimes that's sadness, sometimes it's even anger, sometimes it's just confusion. There's a lot of emotional stuff that comes with CF and with being so connected to the community. And I think sometimes when we need to turn off for a few days or a few weeks or whatever that is for us, that's okay. It's important. It's necessary.
Right. And make sure you feel all the feelings. And
oh yeah.
I think when we're feeling down too, helping others, I know for me is really, really benefits me. And I started FaceTime treatment time with these kiddos, and with Trey, Susie's daughter. She's 11 now, which is so crazy. And we started doing our treatments together because she's never seen anybody else with CF. And so when we started doing our treatments together, her eyes just got this big. And she's like, oh my gosh, she has happy hands. And so we always say happy hands. And her grandma came over and we were FaceTime and she goes, look, this is Summer. And oh my gosh, she has CO2 just like me. And what an amazing feeling to feel connected to somebody that you hadn't had that chance to for so long. And Shelby, with you had Lauren, and Lauren was your best friend. And talk about that and the feeling when she passed, what drove you to just start going gung-ho and fundraising and doing your G2 Mafia?
So Lauren passed away in 2016, and she was one of the first people that I met on social media with CF. They gave us the local Facebook groups to really connect with, and we really hit it off, and she was my big little sister. She was like tiny, so tiny, but her drive and her power was just, I mean, it could literally move mountains. She got me through so many rough stages at that time. And her passing was probably one of the roughest things I've gone through to date. It was pretty sudden. She was on basically the path to look at transplant and everything at Pittsburgh, and she lived here in St. Louis. And I remember coming home from the hospital. It was a day before her birthday. Made her this giant poster card, gave it to my nurse to hang in her room. And the next day, she passed away. She was supposed to leave for Pittsburgh the next day after. And I turned into the biggest hermit. I was not a good person. I couldn't connect with anybody for the longest time. I didn't even look at social media for a long time. That post that I put when she passed away, and it was a year later when Facebook does its memories that it popped up, and it was there that I finally went through all the comments and the support from not only Lauren's friends, but my friends and my support system. And earlier in that month is when I got asked to do the ambassador program for the next following year with our Great Strides Walk. And at first I said, absolutely not. I'm not talking in front of people. Can't do it. Nope. No, thank you. And then I saw that probably about 10 days later, there was this comment on there from, I call him my Uncle Jeff, and he's a family friend also in the car club. And he said, if you want to carry on for Lauren, you need to continue what she did for you. And so that is my driving power now. I have to help those coming up the line the same way that she's done for me. So when I see those new moms in the CF groups, as dramatic as they are, post, hey, I need help, my kid doesn't want to be compliant, or they are dramatic, let's be honest.
A bit.
Or they say, hey, my kid just got a G-tube, like, what do I do? How do I help ease his mind? I show my little collage that I made of me having the long G-tube and then my little button and my setup and everything. And they're like, oh my gosh, you've helped them so much. And I connect with the parent and talk to the kid or whatever questions they have. And that has helped me heal so much and continue going in so many ways.
I agree with that. So feeling connected really helps us with burnout. And that is the great thing about technology. And being able to do this today, and social media, and meeting all these new friends with CF, and all of you guys being here. And like, my CF family just grew by 600 people. And it's just an incredible feeling that we really all do get it. And to like be in the company of people that get it, it's a refreshing feeling. It's it's just like a deep breath. I don't know. A breath of fresh air, I guess. I don't know. But Jenny, when your sister passed away, and I know we've had some mutual friends as well, the survivor's guilt, that has helped you, stay connected and stay united.
Yeah, I think it absolutely has. There's a quote that I was going to look up before this, and then I didn't. And it says something like, "To live in the hearts you leave behind is not to die." And I think that's really beautiful. And I think the sentiment there is really just awesome. And it's something that I want to live by and carry on. My friends who have passed away and my sister, if I can do something to honor their lives, to share their memory, to spread their love, like that keeps them here a little bit. And that's really beautiful. And I want to live a life that honors them. And so often when someone passes away, I'm just confused and feel so guilty, and I don't ever understand why them? Why am I doing okay and they're not? Like, Shelby, why do I have access to these medications and you don't? Like, it's this really gross, ugly, dark feeling that you get sometimes. And so I think to combat that and to combat grief, I just really try to take their memories and do something good with it.
Exactly. And you want to make them proud, and you want to keep going for them. And I think that's so important. And the online community has really helped you, Shelby, and wanted you to more fundraise more, and get out there and be present on, Facebook or Instagram. Tell us a little bit about that.
So kind of as I mentioned earlier, when I got asked to be the ambassador, I said absolutely not. And I think the stepping stones along the way have helped me grow stronger. And I know that I probably wouldn't be doing this panel today if it wasn't for me being the ambassador last year. And even though I was a complete nerve-wracked mess, I did it just like I'm doing this now. So it gives you goals to keep going and help advocate and help to get to the point where CF is going to be done at some point. We're going to get there. And if we just keep up the momentum, that's what it's going to take. It's going to take Jenny to keep going, and Summer to keep going, and myself to keep going, and all of the other amazing people that I've met along the way. I keep getting tagged in Facebook posts of people tagging me and things of people that I've met at BreatheCon and other little conferences and things like that, that it's a tight-knit family. And we're not going to settle down until we have something for everyone.
Right. Okay, I want to ask you guys a question. Shelby, I'm going to ask it for you first. What are your specific expectations for the future?
I want to be able to be at the point of having stability again. I have put my life on hold for so long now, it feels like. And I want to be able to go out and have fun and not drag my treatments and have to do a nebulizer, every 3 to 4 hours, or have to take a nap and be completely out of breath or be running fevers like I have been today for the past week and a half. And just be able to do daily things and just have fun again in a lot of ways that I feel like I've missed out on with friends and everything else.
You want to live and maybe not just survive, right? Living is so important. And yes, I get that feeling. It's like some days our treatments that's all we're doing. And, you can't even get out of bed some days, and it's just every 4 hours you're doing a treatment and you're surviving, but you've got to be living too. And I think that these new modulators and the medical advancements that are becoming available are going to help us with that. Jenny, so what about you? What are your expectations for the future?
I don't have any expectations, but I have so much hope. And that's just kind of my life philosophy. Just hope and go with the flow, and whatever comes next, I'm ready for it. I'm so hopeful. I've gotten to fulfill a lot of my hopes and my dreams along the way, and so I just hope for more of those things. My next thing, it's years down the road. Morgan, if you ever watch this, like 25 years from now, I want to be a grandma. That's like my biggest hope now.
That is a really good goal. But yes, many years from now. And I agree. Hope. I don't know if I necessarily have any expectations. I would really like to see a cure in my lifetime. But hope is important. And hope, like you said, Shelby, hope to live and not just survive. Hope to ditch the leash. Hope to be a grandma. And, right. And hope to take GT Mafia to the next level and hope to get Modulator available for you. That's why we can't stop. We have to keep the momentum going and stay united and support one another. And like they were saying earlier, we can't just get these modulators and then, we're done, we're good, this is good enough. No, it's not good enough. It's not a cure. We're here for a cure. So that's why we have to keep going and keep fighting, keep surviving, and make that happen. Do you guys have anything else that you would like to share with the audience here in person or the audience that's online? Shelby? Anything at all? Anything that we didn't touch on today that you would like to talk about?
I think that we did a pretty good job touching on all the bases.
I think we did too.
I just have to say, we've been practicing this week after week, and every single week it's been a little bit different, and I think we just nailed it all the way.
Well, there you go, mic drop. I don't want to break the mic, but I would mic drop right there. Jenny, do you have anything that you would like to share that you didn't share earlier?
Nothing specific to me, but just a huge thank you to everybody. Friends, family, the audience there. I think something that we do really well is rally together for a common cause. And thank you to everyone who has ever rallied. That's amazing.
They're all rallying here. I wish that you guys, I wish I could bottle up the energy of this room and just send it to you, because it really is. They're all fired up and charged up. And my dad came back and he's like, okay, I got some good ideas, some new ideas for fundraising. And I'm like, whoa, okay. I was like, I'm trying to get in the Zen moment. I've got to get on stage in a little bit. I can't hear about this right now. But yeah, everyone is they're charged and ready to go. And it's so amazing to see. And I'm just so honored that I could be here and that we could share our stories. And Jenny and Shelby, thank you so much for being here today. You guys did a great job. You guys are getting a standing ovation. I wish you could see. Thank you, everybody, so much. Enjoy the rest of the conference. It really is so incredible to be here and see all of you and have these amazing new friendships. I'm so excited. Pam?
Can you see why that's the best part of the whole day right there? Amazing. Amazing. all three of you were totally inspiring. And I mean, I know as a mom, hearing the perspective of what represents my own kids is huge and supportive. And now I want to know what in the hell they're hiding from me. That's what I want to know. That's all I can think about. Okay, now, maybe it's second favorite part of the day. I hate to say it because you can't beat that. But now we're going to welcome our president and CEO, Preston Campbell, to the stage. Dr. Preston Campbell has been with the CF Foundation. Oh, am I wrong? That's on my script.
I know it is. We need 2 minutes to 5 minutes early, so you're actually ahead.
It's totally on me. I'm totally ahead. That's all on me. So, I'm getting ready for my dancing tonight. Woo-hoo! I'm terrible. Who's going to joke? Okay, this is a lot of pressure.
National Family Team.
Oh, National Family Teams. Join them. Yeah. Hey, was it Shelby? She has a National Family Team now? That's amazing. Okay, come on up.
I've been told to tell some jokes.
Yes, I'm not a joke teller.
So we'll tell some jokes. We have some time left, so. How do you make a tissue dance? What? You put a little boogie in it, yes. What did the 0 say to the 8? I like your belt. I have a lot of jokes about pizza, but they're kind of cheesy, so I'm not going to tell those.
He's coming.
Oh, here he comes! Woo! Stand up and give him a standing ovation. Preston Campbell, guys.